What is the greatest comeback to an insult you've ever heard? My best friend. After an argument with some kid from our school in a shop, we began walking away down the street. Kid, where you going, pussy? Friend, your mom's house. Kid, my mom lives the other way. Idiot. Friend, nah, I meant your real mom. A friend in high school on our way to a track meet. He was staring at a car in the parking that was really nice. When this D-bag saw him. D-bag? Why bothering looking at that when you know you'll never be able to get one? My friend, the same reason you watch porn. The entire bus erupted and it's still one of the funniest things I've ever heard. A dude in my class called out a semi-friend of mine that people are talking behind his back. In fact, that wasn't the case, as far as I know. And that guy said, well, you know what to say about you. Nothing. Nobody fucking cares. English class in middle school. Kid A, yo, Kid B, your mama waited on me at McDonald's last night. Must feel like shit having a mom that works at McDonald's. Kid B, at least my mom gets out of bed to go to work. English teacher far louder than he realized. Damn. The rest of us were laughing so hard. The teacher next door popped her head in to see what was going on. Context. John Oliver from HBO interviews Stephen Hawking, may he rest in peace. Joe. And there may be a universe where I am more intelligent than you. There may even be a universe where you are funny. Joe Pine interviewing Frank Zappa. Joe. I guess your long hair makes you a woman. FC. I guess your wooden leg makes you a table. A guy makes fun of his bald friend by rubbing his head and saying, wow, your head is as smooth as my wife's bottom. The friend also rubs his head and says, wow, you're right. I asked my mother why she always wears makeup despite being in her 40s. She told me she wears makeup so she doesn't look like me. Edit. I was 9. Someone yelled out in a Walmart, I'm not ashamed of who I am. Another voice echoed back, that's your parents' job. I used to work with this like 70-year-old woman. She was our supervisor. And one day one of the ladies who worked with us told this old lady to kiss my ass. And the old lady replied, where do I start? You're so fat your crack goes all the way up your back. During WW1, Switzerland had a tiny standing army, but they were very skilled marksmen. Wilhelm II of Germany asked what 250,000 Swiss troops would do if he decided to invade with 500,000 German troops. The Swiss said, shoot twice, and go home. 18th century British radical politician John Wilkes was told in Parliament by a political opponent, sir, I do not know whether you will die on the gallows or of the pox. Wilkes shot back with, that depends, my lord, on whether I embrace your lordship's principles or your mistress. Imagine hitting someone with such a burn that people are discussing it 250 years later. If you weren't so stupid, what would you be? Asks the husband. The wife replies, without even skipping a beat, single. I was the one insulted, but not the one with the comeback. I was out with a coworker and her friends, and my buddy and I were leaving a little too early. For her sensibilities, she jokingly got up in my face and said, smell that, smells like pussy. A guy playing at the pool table next to us stepped forward and said, I'm sorry, that must be me. I just ate. It was amazing. Definitely a great comeback, but not to an insult, more to an annoyance. I was a camp counselor for a few years at a summer camp. One day my group took a hike to a large rock where we had lunch. My campers were between 8 and 10 years old. This one kid we'll call Jeff keeps poking another kid we'll call Matt in my group to look at this hole in the rock. It's so cool, it's like 6 inches deep. And the other kid is clearly getting annoyed just trying to eat his lunch. He keeps shoving sticks into the hole and trying to get everybody to look at it. Finally Matt just puts down his sandwich, looks at Jeff, and goes, I'll be 6 inches deep in your mom later if you don't shut up. I was trying so hard to be stern with this kid for saying something so inappropriate, but I kept cracking up. It was just such a disproportionately ridiculous thing to say coming from a 9-year-old. My grandma got into a fight at the grocery store with a guy who told my 9-year-old brother to move the fuck out of the way. Though we're going at it, and his final words were, suck my dick, bitch. She said across the store, if I could find it, bitch. Edit, not Walmart. Even better, Aldi. My grandparents used to bicker. My grandmother generally came out on top, as she was furious. One time though, she was asking him to do a bunch of stuff, and he muttered, if you'd lose some weight, you could do it yourself. She fixed her gaze on him, and glowered. I'm thinking of getting rid of about 200 pounds of useless fat immediately. He replied, you're going to cut off your foot, man? Nobody bickers like old married couples bicker. They've had decades to perfect their craft. Saw a clip of a stand-up comedian the other day, and he says something along the lines of, "The first time I had sex it was terrible. The first time I had sex." And a woman chimes in with, "You mean yesterday?" Crowd laughs for a while. And while the comedian is waiting for them to calm down, you can see the gears turn in his head. Once it gets down to basically a few chuckles, he just says, "Glad you remember." And the crowd just lost their shit. It was amazing. Winston Churchill, of course. Lady Nancy Astor. Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your tea. Churchill. Nancy, if I were your husband, I'd drink it.